Show.
Good morning.
The summer night sky can offer some of the most beautiful sights you'll see throughout the year, and sometimes it'll even encourage you to take out your camera and capture some of those moments to remember. Joining us on the show this morning is someone who enjoys taking photos of the night sky and of much more. Our guest this morning is Saskatchewan astrophotographer Tim Jaworski. Good morning, Tim, and thank you so much for joining us here on the show.
Good morning. It's a pleasure to talk with you.
Let's dive right into it. This is an interesting subject. You've got decades of experience when it comes to still photography and videography. I understand, though, one of the hobbies you have is astrophotography. Just tell us more about that.
Well, essentially, we live in a land with some absolutely amazing skies. Always 12 months of the year, something is happening up above us when the clouds aren't blocking the view. And the beauty of living in Saskatchewan is that sky is endless. And I love being able to capture a lot of what's happening in that sky with my cameras.
There is a lot for sure that you can capture and even see with the naked eye, which we'll talk about that throughout the interview. But one of the things I wanted to talk about, I understand one of the first photos you kept that you shot yourself years ago was of the night sky, and it even featured one of the constellations that people can most familiarize themselves with.
Yes, that goes back to a long time ago when I was 14 years old. And the first time I tried astrophotography, and I captured the Big Dipper. And by far, it's not my most elegant of images, but it was the bug that bit me and got me to realize this is a cool way to point your cameras up. And it's a really boring shot, but I'm very proud of it.
Hey, I mean, it's one of the first, I think it was the first constellation that I learned about when I was a kid, and I'm sure it's the same for others. So we can all very much agree with how much that meant to you in that moment. Now, there's much, much more you can catch in the night sky other than the Big Dipper. But one of the popular sights we can view even with the naked eye is coming up soon here, the Perseid meteor shower. Can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, the Perseid meteor shower, right now, it lasts for about a 30-day period, but the peak is on the evening of August the 12th. And we've got a couple of things going for us with the Perseids. First off, it's been known as the most accessible or most visible meteor showers, partly because it happens in the summer months where the only thing we're really fighting is mosquitoes. As long as you got a clear sky, you've got a chance of seeing anywhere upwards to 120 to 150 meteors an hour. But the other thing that's happening specifically this year is that it's a new moon on that night. A new moon means basically the moon is only visible right next to the sun in the daytime. So all night we're going to have no moon whatsoever, washing out even those fainter of meteors. So it's a really epic year this year for the Perseid.
Last time we spoke about the Perseid meteor shower, another beautiful sight that you can catch is the Aurora Borealis. Now, luckily, we're not just limited to the summertime to view the Northern Lights, but what tips can you offer for people that are hoping to capture the Northern Lights on their phones or on their cameras?
Well, the first thing is, of course, Northern Lights, you're never quite sure when it's going to happen, but there are apps that you can get that will give you predictions of what the possibilities are. Those apps are available for your smart devices, and we usually get about a 2 to 3 day warning when there's a good chance of aurora happening. And if that app is giving you that warning that, hey, well, there's a good chance, the first thing you want to do is get out of town. You want to go where the skies are dark. Get the city lights behind you wherever possible. And if you're going to be using your smartphone, don't be hand holding it. Put it on some sort of a tripod. There's lots of very inexpensive ways to be able to put your camera onto a tripod. There are actually apps that you can download in your phone that will also increase the low light capability of your phone, giving you more control over things like the ISO as well as shutter speed and that, so that you can stretch out those exposures a little longer to be able to capture more of those colors. With the naked eye, when you see aurora, it kind of looks like a grayish curtain that sort of can be moving or wafting across the sky. On the very, very bright nights, you will see some of the green coloring. But if you're shooting with your camera or smartphone, you can see even more intense colors. And in some cases, especially shooting with a real camera, different colors, some of the purples and the blues and the reds as well, depending on that particular aurora storm.
Right on. I think we have over a minute here, but I did want to also bring this up. Now, it's a little more difficult to capture the planets in the night sky when we are taking photos of it. But how can we identify certain planets in the night? And if we wanted to catch it, are there certain days or even times in the night that we should be watching out for planets?
Well, right now, the planets are pretty much a naked eye type thing. And right now, we've got a parade of planets happening. At the moment, if you go just after sunset, looking in the western sky, very close to the horizon, you'll see Venus, and then above it, Mercury, and then above it and to the left, you'll see the red planet Mars. Now, these are probably best viewed with binoculars, if you have like a 7 by 50 or a 10 by 50 binocular. And this would be, like I say, about that sort of time, about a half hour after sunset. In the early mornings, we're seeing the planet Saturn. And this one, you won't need binoculars to see. It's going to be very bright and prominent, sort of high up in that southeastern sky, about an hour before sunrise. So, yeah, we've got a few planets out there to see right now.
Right on. A lot of important information that you've offered for us, Tim. I think I could talk another segment with you, but I think we'll end it at that. Maybe we'll have to just bring you back on the show at another time. But I wanted to thank you once again for taking the time to talk a little more about your passion with astrophotography. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you very much for the opportunity, and clear skies, everyone.
All right, you're watching Global News Morning, folks. We'll have more coming up right after the break.